त्रैविद्या मां सोमपापूतपापाः यज्ञैरिष्ट्वा स्वर्गतिं प्रार्थयन्ते ते पुण्यमासाद्य सुरेन्द्रलोकम् अश्नन्ति देव्यान् दिवि देवभोगान्.
With this verse, we enter the next topic, which deals with how you get what you want in life. And what drives us is thought. The law is, as you think, so you become. Not only does your thinking, you are the architect of your own destiny, your own life. So whatever you think, that thought, that subtle thought, manifests as the way you are, your characteristics, your physical attributes, your emotional, intellectual, everything, your personality. And not just your personality. The environment you find yourself in is tailor-made according to your thoughts. So if there is anything in the environment that you don't like, you can't go directly and try and change that. It will never change unless you change your thoughts. So that's what he's saying. Now in verse 20 and 21, he's dealing with the limitations of mechanical good actions. So what is he saying here? He says, the knowers of the three Vedas, the drinkers of Soma nectar, worshipping me with yajna sacrifices, purified from sin, pray for passage to heaven. Having obtained the sacred world of the Lord of the Devas, they enjoy in heaven the divine pleasures of the Devas. Now, this is all very confusing language. Basically what he's talking about is that there are three types of human pursuits. One type, the vast majority of us, work with a selfish attitude. So we perform selfish actions. We live a selfish life where we are riding on desire, ego and egocentric desires. So a person who lives like this, the law is that selfishness breeds sorrow, agitation, and you go to hell, they say. Now, hell is not a geographic location. It's not a place that you go to after death. It is right here and now you experience a hellish experience. And it's not strange to us. We're all actually going through it. Sorrow, strife, tension, stress, agitation. This is not because of the environment. Don't sit there and say the traffic in Bombay makes me agitated. Or my mother-in-law makes me agitated. Nothing in the world can disturb you, agitate you, except you, your thoughts, your attitudes. So you live a selfish life, you go to hell. Not after death, right now. You change your attitude and you perform unselfish activities. You're still driven by desire, but you have a higher desire, you have nobler desires. You're working for a larger cross-section of people. You're performing what they call as yajna. That's what he's referring to here in this verse. And immediately, as you are where you are, you experience peace and happiness. You are in heaven. But this punya that you accumulate, punya, the effect of the good actions that you have performed, it lasts only for a while. And after you exhaust that punya, that's what he says, they enjoy in heaven the divine pleasure of the devas. You have to come back to earth. Come back here again means you're reborn. Why? Desire. Because you have the fuel, the desire. And this goes on and on and on. So he is pointing to the limitation of this. He ridicules the use of religion and spiritual paths only for a limited goal, just to get to heaven. Just to enjoy a superior quality of experience. What use is it if you're still in the world, if you're still in this prison? Does it make a difference whether you have a 4-course meal with exotic vegetables and things? or you have a simple dal, sabji, rice, but you're in heaven, you're in jail. Does it make a difference? Even if you get 5-star jail, air conditioned and the best of comforts and things, nobody worth the name will want to remain there. The first thing you want to do is get out of that jail as quickly as possible. Prison. Because it restricts you. The unfortunate part is, once you stay long enough in prison, I don't know, I've not yet got there. That becomes your world. And thereafter the politics of that and whatever happens there is all that matters to you. You forget what life is like outside. And that's what he's trying to tell us. Traividya, go beyond the letter. Capture the spirit of spiritual practices. Somapaha, the drinkers of soma, nectar, the moment you turn unselfish, the fruit will be very, very sweet. That's what he's saying. You get to drink nectar only when you're unselfish. The rewards of unselfishness are very sweet. But don't get stuck there, it's still finite. Puta papaha, you're purified of sin means you are not in an agitated state, you're relatively calm. Having worshipped me by yajnas, pray for passage to heaven. So what happens is you perform such high quality of actions that you enjoy a super sensuous state of enjoyment. But then you come back. It's like saying, sometimes they have these prizes. So they say you buy a lottery ticket and you get an exotic 5-day vacation in some exotic place, Switzerland. And where are you? You're in a chawl here in Bombay. So from that chawl straight you go to Switzerland, you enjoy 5 days of luxury there. And on the 5th day what happens? You have to come back to this chawl now. What's the use? Instead you might as well go in straight liberation, moksha, here and now. Why waste time in Switzerland? Right? So that's what he's saying here. Now this brings us to the take-home points.